So let's begin. Yes? Yes, very excited. Super. So my first question to both of you is because both of you have been working immensely towards enabling the women in workforce. And my first question to Vidya ji would be that how educational institutes better foster and facilitate more women joining the workforce. If you could tell us about the three major steps which you envision.
So I think education is all about empowerment and not just empowering women but both men and women. At Symbiosis, of course, there is a special attention paid to empowering women. We do a lot of work and I'm sure many other universities and colleges must be doing or can do. We've adopted about 22 villages around our university campus. Our main university campus is at Lavade, maybe about 40 minutes from here, beyond NCL, beyond Pashan. And we are in a rural setup. So we focus at Symbiosis, of course, there is a special focus on women empowerment. We primarily focus on educating girls from the poorest of poor families. So our MBA students go and do a kind of a study, a research study to find out the needs of these young girls, and we give total free ship to for any professional program that they would want to pursue. Most of them obviously pursue nursing or medical technology because then they're absorbed in the hospital for employment as well. As many of you would be knowing that we've started a Symbiosis Medical College for Women, again empowering women to become doctors. You all will be surprised to know that while there are more than 50% girls who enter medical studies when they join the MBBS program, I'm a doctor myself, so we used to have a lot of girls even in major medical college then. But those who practice medicine are just 17%, and therefore you need to increase the base obviously so that more and more girls will enter the profession and obviously practice. So there is a lot that through education you can really do. And I would also request all of you all as young women here that while you all are educated women, but try and educate at least one girl child, maybe your mate's daughter, maybe someone who lives next door in a slum closer to your home, because educating one girl is like educating the whole family. And when a girl gets educated, she gets empowered, and obviously she will educate her family, her children. And it's not just educating but empowering her to not just get a degree or a diploma or a certificate, but also empowering her to earn some money.
It's a beautiful answer. So one step ahead of this one, like it's very insightful. It is the starting, like the foundation of anyone getting into diverse fields. Now, I would like to ask about your field, that what steps can political parties or anyone in policy making involve to get more women to participate, policy making or parties in general? Because we've also had this area where people have said that a lot of women participate, but they are considered as proxies. So can you shed some light on that?
Politics is very interesting. But it's a very complex subject. And if you look at politics, I think politics is everywhere. Whether it is business, whether it is politics as such, family also. So if you talk about politics and increased participation of girls or women in politics, so I'll just put forward some numbers. As you rightly said, in local body elections, there's a reservation for women, that is 50%. And thanks to Mr. Rohit Pawar that he brought this concept. But he brought this concept about 30 years back. So if that concept or that reservation was not brought in, so today the numbers would have been very different. Like for example, even though the reservation was brought in, today from 288 MLAs, I'm one of them, there are only 28 women MLAs. And about 565 odd MPs in India, only 14% are women. So can we say that they are less competent? Definitely no. But to some extent, something is lacking somewhere, which is not allowing them to come forward. I think that responsibility has to be taken by the party itself to support, to promote more and more women candidates to come in politics or to tickets to be given, and then later on have training sessions in the party and all. It's a long way to go, but definitely that ratio has to be increased going forward. And in political party structure also, we have to, like for example, I'm against the concept of to have a woman wing different and male wing different. So if going forward we'll have only one wing, wherein there will be a added responsibility given to girls also and the boys also. So when we have different wings, then we say that they are doing the women work and they are doing the men work. So I think if we bring them together and then have a policy, definitely that would increase. And going forward, this ratio has to increase. Like for example, 2014, 22 MLAs were there, women. Today it is 28. It is progressing. I hope it progresses at a faster rate. But it has to increase. Reason is they are aware of certain issues which are very close to women. So 50% of the population they represent. And if they represent 50% of the population, then in the overall representation of MLAs and also MPs, why they represent only 10 to 14%, that's a big question. Definitely going forward, we all have to work on that side.
I think definitely the world is moving towards that, and we see more of progressive leaders coming in. Definitely, please.
I mean, I don't know politics, nor am I even closely associated with politics. But I would just like to say, Rohit, that it's all about men supporting women. It's when I say educating, it's about educating your sons as much as you educate your daughters. And again, here education doesn't mean degrees. It means allowing their wives, their sisters to actually come out, support them. So why are there just 28 women in such a large, male-dominated, political system? I think it's all about the husbands, the fathers, and other men in the family who would empower these girls to actually come out and be there, in the field, on the field, in politics. Of course, yes, I mean, we are genetically different from men. We have to obviously give birth to babies, take care of them, nurture them. But after a certain period, I think women and men are equal, and it is all about how men support their, women in their families, and that's how these numbers will increase. I think we need to move away from a very patriarchal society that we still live in.
Absolutely, that's a fabulous one, and I think I see the ratio of men supporting women and a lot of things happening out here. So it's beautiful community to be in. My question to you is, you are the leader of masses, both of you, and you have to deal with lakhs of people on a daily basis or in a month. And usually as an entrepreneur like me or anyone who's starting off, I have realized one thing, that you need that people skill to excel now. You can't just be an introverted person and not talk about what you're doing. It's become so important that you show what you are on the digital space or offline. So can you give us some suggestions on how important it is to have or adapt the people skill?
Whether it is business, whether it is politics, whether it is social life, whether it is friendship, you need to be people's person. Unless you are into software development or something, which you develop alone, or you are a graphic designer or something like that. But I would say you need people skills. And so in my case, if you ask me, I do read a lot of topics on current affairs, but I don't read books. That is unfortunate, that I have to improve. But what I do is I read people, and to understand people. So like for example, every day minimum calls what I get is 250, and during COVID that calls had gone to a level of 650. So I had to have 10 people around me to take those calls and solve the issues. So side effect of that is my left ear, high frequency hearing has gone down. And after marriage, I think some people say that is good, but my wife is here. But that is not the case in my situation. But you need to be among people to understand what they want. Unfortunately, today, if you look at the politics, we bring out policy, or we think about bringing in policy to get votes. That is wrong. We have to understand what people want. We have to understand what is the need of future. And then after talking to, understanding people, after talking to experts, like for example, if I have to bring in something in education, I should definitely talk to her and others in this sector. So then when you interact with so many people, then you can, someone has rightly said, five experts in a AC room, and if you talk to thousands and lakhs of people who actually are the users, then after interacting with them, the policy what you bring in is actually people's policy. So for us to survive in politics, we need to be people's person. And if we lose that connect, then I'm telling you, next election, I or anyone else has to lose. And we won't survive if you are not people's person. And a lot of leaders make that mistake after they get a particular post or after they become someone, they start thinking that they are the one, and then slowly they lose the connect, and then they are nowhere in politics. So for us to be people's person is like to have an oxygen, I would say that way.
You are an introverted person. I've seen him growing up, and the amount of transformation he's had is extremely inspiring.
Now, I was an introvert person, but now I can't afford to be an introvert person.
Vidyaji, to you.
Yeah, so I think just to add on to what Rohit has said is that I think in an organization, whether it's a university or a college or a business, I mean, I won't talk about politics because there connect with people is still much larger on a larger scale than what my connect would be. But I think for all of y'all who may be entrepreneurs or working for organizations, I think it's very important to connect with people, more so in the services sector where I am in the education sector. And when we talk about people, it's people who work with you, right from the vice chancellor in my case, to maybe a few who works with us, or from a student to a faculty member. Because finally, your existence of your organization is for them, and you have to realize this. And as my father always says, he says that if you are a leader, then you should learn to even work with schools. So you have to look at the best part of people, and that's been my mantra at least. That there are people with less competencies, less skills, but I would judge people by by their character and personality, because I feel that character is something which is an attribute that you cannot change, but competency is an attribute that you can change. You can skill a person and make him competent, but a person with a good character is a good person. And therefore, in our organization at least, we give more importance to honesty, integrity, character, than really skills. Skills are important, you need skilled people to work for you. So that's one. Second is, I think the digital media has played a wonderful role. Politicians like Rohit that I see, you open the Instagram or any social media and the first person you see is Supriya Suri and Rohit Pawar. So they're so connected with people, and I think it should be like that, at least in their team. But even in ours, because for example, what Symbiosis is doing every day needs to be known to people and youngsters, so that they know that they're joining a university which has some content and it will be.
So my question to you would be that you are developing the future of workforce. Everything starts from there, and you run one of the largest institutes in India. And I'd like to say that you have also started incubation and entrepreneurial verticals, where it not only facilitates skills but also the problem solving mechanism and everything. So I'd like to ask you, what is that human to human experience and how can one develop that? Again, leading to the people skill, but in a very entrepreneurial way.
Yeah, so obviously employment in our country is of paramount importance, whether it's Symbiosis as a university or maybe any other college in a rural setup. People, students join any institution, any educational institution in search of jobs. And therefore, I think that's most critical for universities and colleges to offer those kind of jobs. But while they are offering these kind of jobs by getting companies on campus to place students and so on, I think the shift from employment to entrepreneurship is a big change that we see nowadays in most top universities, including Symbiosis. So if you look at our trajectory of our students, and if you do, I did a dipstick study to see how do our students progress. So I think most of them, or many of them, I would say, become entrepreneurs or at least plunge into entrepreneurship after 5 years of work. So that's the study that showed us results. So therefore we said that why not create entrepreneurial opportunities on the campus, and therefore we have a incubation center called Symbiosis Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation, and this is funded by the Government of India, DS, the Department of Science and Technology, where about 50 startups
Yes.
as of now would be incubated. And again here we tell them that it's again most youngsters get into fintech and
Yeah.
health tech and all technology related stuff. But we keep telling them that again it's about people's skills.
Exactly.
Whether you develop a technology, finally the technology is for people and you have to work with people. So I think HR plays a very important role. I would always give more, so when MBA students join us, the first preference of specialization is marketing. The simple reason is that they get more money. When they pass out, they get better jobs with
Yes.
big packages. But I would give more importance to HR, because human resource management is something that you have to do day in and out. And it's not just in organizations, but even in families. So working with people,
Yes.
how to work with people is obviously taught in business schools.
Yes.
But I think entrepreneurship and creating jobs for others is something new that has happened in the last 5 years.
Absolutely, that's a wonderful insight on that. And I'd like to move forward to something which is a little on a personal level, where everybody post-COVID has felt a need for, feeling our feelings better, talking more about mental health awareness, talking about how we are feeling after that. I'm sure that everybody had that moment of pressure, anxiety during COVID, what is going to happen, nobody knew what is going to be there. And then I'd like to ask you a question that backlash and criticism can be discouraging. How do you keep focus on your priorities despite the external pressure and criticism while managing the extreme pressure, and you still work and you are known as a leader who puts forward his thought without, it's unfiltered, whatever you put forward. So how do you respond to the backlash and criticism which comes with your opinion on any of the subjects?
When I was in 10th, 12th and third year, after that I didn't study. I'm just a graduate. So for example, I used to get up early in the morning, study. Then during exams, on that day I never used to study. And after giving exam, I used to throw my question paper away, go home, sleep for some time, study for the next paper. But a lot of my other friends used to sit for 2 hours and calculate how many marks they would have got. For example, 2 mark यहाँ पे, 3 mark यहाँ पे, 4. Oh, I got 80%. अरे boss, अभी result आने दो, बाद में देखते हैं. So in my case, what I do is, if there's a constructive criticism, I definitely look at it, I study it, but I never follow the trolls. When people start trolling you, that means you're reaching a particular level wherein people are considering that you are a threat. But if you start worrying about result, then your performance level will definitely fall. For example, in business, when I joined business, I was 21. I wanted to go out for my post-graduation. I want to go to Europe or US. Less for studies and maybe more for fun and for experience maybe. But that time my father had started or diversified into a very different business, which went through a lot of challenges. Then I think rather than a paper MBA degree, it's better to have a practical MBA degree. So then I joined business, and from 21 till now, I don't know what my age is, but closer to 40. So I've been working. So I've never worried about what would happen or what people would say. I just thought to myself that, is this right? Then work for it. And never to think about other people. That is what I say. अरे वो क्या बोलेगा, वो क्या बोलेगा, मेरी माँ क्या बोलेगी, मेरे पापा क्या बोलेंगे, मेरी वाइफ क्या बोलेगी, मेरे बच्चे क्या बोलेंगे, आगे जाके बॉस इसने क्या किया. ये 4-5 जन के बारे में सोचने का. And do what you like or what you feel is right. Just keep on doing it. Never to worry about the result. Definitely success would come to you. That is my funda. And in politics, the criticism is definitely there. And a lot of people talk to a level wherein you can't even respond to it. So if you start responding to them, then you go to that level. So then, politics is more like cricket. Sometimes you have to put googly and all. So that is a way we speak to the media. But criticism, constructive agar hoga, to you should take it positively. Otherwise, just leave it. That is what I feel. And to your previous question to her, if I may answer to it, one is about entrepreneurship, one is about education. But after coming to politics, after studying in Maharashtra, after 12% of the student, they leave studies. And when they go to graduation, after graduation, only 60% go ahead. So 12% before and 40% later. So around 50% don't get proper education. So what we feel is, चलो 50% 60% एजुकेशन मिल रहा है, उसमें भी अच्छे इंस्टीट्यूट जो है they are giving good kind of education. National education policy is nice, but it is not implemented anywhere. So I think it needs to be implemented. Practical oriented education needs to be given. So when you are thinking about education, you also should think about career guidance. A lot of students, they do BA. When you ask why did you do BA, they would say मम्मा ने बोला, पापा ने बोला, या दोस्त वही कर रहा था और क्या करना है वही नहीं मालूम, इसलिए मैंने बीए किया. तो बाद में डिग्री तो मिल जाता है, काम नहीं मिलता. For example, today I had an interview for personal assistant for political reasons. So एक civil engineer वाला मेरे पास आया, मैं बोला क्यों आया, काम ही नहीं है. So situation is very different. So one, from political angle or social angle, we as policymakers should have to think about changing the education system, and while doing so, take in confidence those experts who are already working in that field and should think about career guidance, think about proper education system, and then definitely think about employment. Because आज अगर नहीं सोचेंगे तो कल जाके साउ paulo की सिचुएशन हो जाएगी. जो अमीर है वो रोड पे चल ही नहीं पाएंगे, because the difference between rich and poor will increase to such an extent, the social disturbances धीरे धीरे बढ़ते जाएंगे. जो अभी हमने पुणे में देखा, एक लड़के ने एक लड़की के साथ जो किया, वो धीरे धीरे बढ़ते जाएगा, because that's the outcome of frustration and that will lead to depression. Today around 5% of youth, we are 60% of the population. So अपने population शायद दुनिया में सबसे ज्यादा है, ऐसा सुना 140 करोड़ लोग है, 60% youth है below 40, of which 5% are depressed or going toward depression, and 5% is a big number. So ये जो mental health के बारे में भी हम सबको सोचना पड़ेगा going forward. That is what it is.
It's a wonderful answer. So moving forward with that, I had an exact same question for you. That what support systems can institutes have in place to prioritize mental health and mental well-being for students? And I know for a fact that Symbiosis Center for Emotional Well-being is in place. So what do you think in general for India as a whole, that why it is so important, and as rightly said by him?
Not just India, but I think it's across the world now. And the reason, why mental health issues, there are several reasons why suddenly it has come up. Of course, COVID, the pandemic has become, has exacerbated the issues, and everything has really come, and people are now expressing. One thing good is that at least people or youngsters have started expressing things that earlier they would never express, and thanks to some of the celebrities like Deepika Padukone and Karan Johar and all, who talk about their mental health issues. So people have been, now youngsters have started talking. But it is, I think one of the, people, at least in my fraternity, my medical fraternity, talk about mental health issues which will become an epidemic now. It's that bad. Why? Because several reasons. I think one of the reasons could be parents also, could be blamed, because we generally tend to give everything that our children ask for, and therefore there is never a no. So when you talk about resilience, to not really take a no, whether it's a no about marks, about relationships, or anything, they just can't do it. They just can't take a no, and I think that is one of the reasons. But be as it may, institutions need to provide counselors on campuses, therapists on campuses, like what we do through the Symbiosis Center for Emotional Wellbeing. And we definitely see since the last 2 years that the problems that teachers would find about students in classrooms, and I'm talking about higher education, university education, that is certainly reduced because of students going to the counselors, talking to them, expressing and kind of venting out, or whatever that was there in their mind. So students find it really good that there are counselors, and also teachers find that these counselors are helping the students. Parents will certainly have to pay attention because of the life that young parents are leading nowadays, with less time given to their children.
Yeah.
Both parents working, and I mean it's a necessity of life, you can't blame them. But I think there somewhere we need to introspect ourselves as parents to see how best, in whatever time that we can, actually spend that time with our children, so that if a child faces any problem either in school or in college, the first person that he or she should come to is to run to a mother or a father to express that problem.
Yeah.
If that happens, I'm sure the issues of mental health will come down. There is a mental health policy that is coming out, I'm sure Rohit knows about it, through the Ministry of Youth Affairs, Government of India, and fortunately we were a part of contributing to the mental health policy as well. Last that I would like to end is that there are very few counselors available, trained counselors.
Yeah.
So BA Psychology was the only program that would create counselors. But we have started a new program, the first of its kind in India, which is called BSc in Mental Health, which is not really psychiatry, but actually mental health, which means community mental health workers, where they understand psychology, they understand human body. So we've clubbed the humanities and social sciences and a little bit of medicine to create such. So after 3 years, I'm sure there'll be more mental health workers that will come out.
I would like to put a perspective in terms of the younger generation, and I have personally being in the marketing and design space. I constantly am on social media, and I'm sure everybody is on social media these days, and I see that after COVID it has always been about the perception which you would like to portray, the perfectionism which you like to portray on social media, that is also affecting a lot of health of all of us. And I think that would also play a pivotal role if students and entrepreneurs or anybody not take social media in a personal level, and like he said, that keep it aside, like your opinions, or it can keep aside. So I love the facts what you are talking about, because this is going to help our perceptions build, and we have a very better future for all of us, including the younger generation to come. Okay, so for you, moving on, based on this, I'd like to ask you that everyone is exposed to media, and there can be things which media can deviate, or there can be negativity, there can be positive aspects of it. So how do you think that in future or currently politics, business and media can intertwine for a better future, and something which will facilitate a very transparent way of the way media was in the past?
I don't think so it is going to happen. So there's positive publicity and negative publicity, I would say. Before coming here, I was talking to one of the person, we were talking about Trump. So, other political leaders in US, they paid media houses to make stories. Trump is so smart. He made statements in such a way that news was made. So free of cost, he got the publicity, and later on then he built up on the publicity. So see, wish list, if you ask, yes, the media has to change. Politicians also have to change. The perspective have to change. But will it change? I don't think so, because for them, money is important and business is important. So what I feel is, like for example, if you ask me, do I look at news, whether it is my news also, I never do that. What I do is I either see Netflix. Sometimes if I'm really frustrated, I see cartoons with my children. And somewhere I say, ये जो टीवी पे चल रहा है ना, खास करके रिपब्लिक टीवी करके कोई है, the cartoon is much better than that. But it has to change. Plus, print media is also important, though the readership is going down and it is shifting towards online media. May not be news about us, but I think media definitely needs to write about good experiences, people doing something good. Like for example, this is an excellent initiative. The media should write about this, or media should write about some small heroes who have made a big difference. The reason is, after reading that news or after understanding the life of that person, you will also feel like doing something. For example, in Delhi, one of the girl was unfortunately killed by the person who knew her in a very wrong way, and the other people were just watching it. But in Pune, when that thing happened, the guy who were watching actually helped her. So when that news came ahead, so now if, like for example, it's me, you, or anyone, if we see something wrong happening, and because we have read about that incidents, that someone helped, and that the person who helped that girl was actually well appreciated by people, then we also will feel, अरे मैं भी जाके किसी को help करूँ. So ये मीडिया का positive impact भी बहुत होता है. But if you look at psychology in case of COVID or other demonetization, I would say, जो कंपाउंडर था, जब demonetization हुआ and he saw that his boss doctor is actually suffering, what to do with money, cash. It's just an example. I don't know anyone is doctor here. So that you're a doctor, but you don't practice. You make doctors now. You educate doctors. So that compounder felt very bad, very good. Oh, मेरे बॉस को प्रॉब्लम आया. वैसे ही लॉयर का था, वैसे ही बिजनेसमैन का था. तो ये जो साइकोलॉजी है वो इतनी अलग है. उस साइकोलॉजी पे मीडिया इज वर्किंग इन अ वेरी डिफरेंट वे. सो नेगेटिव अगर एक आध बातमी होता है, न्यूज होता है, तो उसके बारे में ज्यादा चर्चा और ज्यादा वो न्यूज चलते हैं. बट डेफिनेटली गोइंग फॉरवर्ड इट हैज टू चेंज. एंड व्हेन मीडिया they don't cover you, then what you do is you use social media. So as she said that I am very active on social media. Some people say तो social media पे ही active रहता है. मैं बोलता हूँ यार मैं कुछ लाइफ में करता हूँ या ऑन द फील्ड करता हूँ, वही तो मैं सोशल मीडिया में डालता हूँ ना. तो सोशल मीडिया डेफिनेटली वुड प्ले अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट रोल. पहले टाइम पे कोई भी न्यूज़पेपर में अगर आर्टिकल लाना है तो यू नीडेड टू फॉलो अप विद द एडिटर टू अ वेरी लार्ज एक्सटेंट. एक महीना बात करने के बाद आपका एक आध न्यूज आता था, बहुत आनंद होता था. तो अभी कैसा है कि अगर वो नहीं लिख रहा ना, तो व्हाट यू स्टार्ट योर ओन चैनल. सो टुडे इफ यू लुक एट इट, द नंबर ऑफ यूट्यूब चैनल्स हैज इंक्रीज, number of online portals have increased and they're doing well. Like there's a portal called Bol Bidhu. It's a nice portal wherein they talk about politics and they talk about they don't take side of anyone but they talk about good politics. So ये जो चीज है वो आगे जाके बढ़ती रहेगी. But news channel अगर नहीं बदलेंगे, if they take only one-sided perspective, definitely आगे जाके ये छोटे छोटे जो YouTube चैनल्स एंड न्यूज पोर्टल्स है उसकी ताकत बहुत बढ़ती जाएगी.
Also, Faye D'Souza, like everybody knows her. So Faye D'Souza keeps on putting out very diplomatic and very straightforward reverts without giving any extra information or something which is not relevant. So I agree with that fact. Beautiful. So I would like to move ahead with asking you about a lot of your personal takeaways and how it was back in your childhood, because I know that you come from a family of leaders and you have your father who has been a guiding light. And how has it positively impacted your life? Can you take us back to the memory lane of childhood?
So as I always say, I've grown in a family which was different from other families. My father was a teacher, he was a professor of in Ferguson College.
Yeah.
So my whole childhood was on a college campus. It was really fun because we had these nice bungalows of various professors around and we lived there. But as I said, my parents were different, and my father used to be the foreign students advisor appointed by Pune University. So if any foreign student felt homesick or someone was not well, or someone lost a passport, my parents would just request them to come and stay with us. So through my childhood, I've lived with a Nigerian student, with a Iranian student, with a student from Thailand. So at least at any given point in time, I used to have at least 2 students actually staying in a house, which was a very small bungalow with 3 bedrooms, but one room was reserved for foreign students. So much so that there was an American boy called John Owens who came to study Sanskrit here at Pune University. And he was a paying guest in someone's house, and that was a very staunch Brahmin family. So he didn't like the atmosphere there. So he walked into our house and told my father that I don't like this family where I've been put up. So my father said, fine, maybe you will like our family, so come and stay with us. And he stayed for a whole year. And my grandmother was also equally a staunch Brahmin, and she used to hate this, Christian boy coming and staying. And she would tell my parents, कि तुमच्या मुली बिघडतील, they're growing up daughters you have in the house, and you have these boys coming and staying. But it was so nice that John Owens became John Kaka for us, and he stayed with us for 1 year. He got married to an Indian girl, and even today, every second year, he comes with his family. Now his children have grown up with his family to meet my parents, because he still believes that my parents are his parents. So that's the kind of childhood that I've grown in, and I think the whole. I'm sure Rohit will also agree, because he also comes from a family which is different.
Yes.
It really builds your personality, and you imbibe so much of character in you when you're growing up that you don't realize. At that point, probably I never realized as a child. But today, maybe what I am or what I'm doing or what Rohit is doing is because of this whole family background that, you talk about sanskars and a culture of a family that you grow in.
Yeah.
And I think it's very critical. And again, for young women and men who are here, I think the way you nurture your children, and it can happen just very inadvertently, but you realize this, that the way you nurture your children is going to shape their destiny and personalities in later life. So no matter what they get educated in, where they get educated in, but I think family plays a very, very critical role. And I owe all that to my family, my mother and father, who are, who still live in a very, in a simple way. So the humility, simplicity, or everything that we all have imbibed is because of them. And I just hope that it gets carried forward to the next generation as well.
That's a beautiful journey to be.
In politics, family background is generally called as nepotism. We have to answer that question always in our life. But yes, culture is important.
And how easy or difficult was it for you to stand up? Because I know for a fact that you had in your 20s established and scaled up Baramati Agro to next level, and you had no, reason to get into a discomfort, let's say, I'll put it that way. How has it been for you? How has the upbringing been, and why did you choose this path where he wakes up at 5 a.m. and visits, let's say, 10 to 20 villages in a day, where I just figure out whether I want to go to Korega Park or not from Aund. So I would like you to address that.
I would say if my father was a cricketer, and if I would have chosen the same area of work, and in the first match or first 5 matches, if I would have got out on 0, then I would have said this area is not good for me. Or people would have said, देखो पापा क्रिकेट में बहुत अच्छे खेलते थे, तो उनके नेटवर्क के थ्रू ये क्रिकेट में आया, देखो आउट हो रहा है. बट अगर पहली मैच में, दूसरी मैच में अगर मैं 100 मारूं, 50 मारूं, आगे वो कंसिस्टेंसी रहेगा, तो धीरे धीरे लोग बात करना बंद कर देंगे. ऐसे ही पॉलिटिक्स में है. पहले इलेक्शन में सब बात करते हैं, देखो नेपोटिज्म है, घरानेशाही है, पर एक बार चुन के आते हो और उसके बाद जिस तरीके से आप काम करते हो, इफ यू डू वेल एंड इफ यू रियली वर्क हार्ड, तो स्लोली वो कोई बात नहीं करता. और दूसरी बात, फैमिली में जन्म लेना ये तो मेरे हाथ में नहीं था ना. आई वॉज लकी टू born in this family with such a great work and legacy. Same in her case, or same in next time we are going to hear Ratulji, in his case also. So what I would say is it's hard, it's tough, and if अगर कोई आपके फैमिली में से उस एरिया में, उस फील्ड में अगर बहुत बड़ा बना है, तो डेफिनेटली दैट चैलेंज इज बिग, बिकॉज एवरीवन स्टार्ट्स कंपेयरिंग यू विद दैट पर्सन, एंड वो जैसे बात करते थे, वो कैसे काम करते थे, वैसे एवरीवन स्टार्ट्स एक्सपेक्टिंग यू टू डू इट. सो इट्स अ बिग चैलेंज. बट दूसरी बात कैसे होती है कि देन यू बिकम रिस्पॉन्सिबल, सो यू ट्राई टू balance your life and go and achieve your goals. But style mein, if you try to copy anyone from your family, like for example, if I copy my father, if I copy my grandfather, I can't be him, so I'll be a copy of him. So if I understand the way of his working and have my own style, so that will be Rohit's style, that will be accepted by the people, and आगे जाके लोग शायद कहे कि रोहित की तरह बनना है. अगर मैं किसी को कॉपी करूं तो वो कॉपी हो जाता है, तो डेफिनेटली वी ऑल शुड वर्क फॉर आवर ओन स्टाइल. तो आगे जैसे पहले बार पॉलिटिक्स में आया था, लोग बोले थे तू पागल है. मैं बोला क्यों, तू कुर्ता पैजामा नहीं पहनता. आई सेड व्हाई, सब पहनते हैं और व्हाइट ही पहनना चाहिए. मैं बोला क्यों, स्वच्छ प्रतिमा दिखती है. मैं बोला अरे पांडा सफेद कपड़ा पहनने के बाद स्वच्छ प्रतिमा का क्या आ गया. तो आई वॉज द फर्स्ट पर्सन एज ए MLA टू गो इन विधान भवन वेयरिंग जीन्स एंड नॉर्मल शर्ट. थोड़ा सा मोटा हूं, नहीं तो मैं T-शर्ट भी पहनता था. बट व्हाट आई ट्राई टू से इज कि जो अच्छा लगता है करो, लेकिन जिस तरीके से काम कर रहे हो वो राइट हो, इसके बारे में थोड़ा सा सोचो. आई थिंक सब कुछ सॉर्ट आउट हो जाता है, ऐसा लगता है.
Absolutely.
I think what Rohit is saying is very true. It's more of a challenge when you get compared to someone else. But I think as a second generation, some of you who could be the second generation, I think it's very critical to establish your own identity in what you do. I mean, Dr. Muzumdar is a great educationist, and of course, he will continue to be known for the great work because he's an entrepreneur himself and having started Symbiosis. But for me, I always feel that something different if you bring to the table, then people start recognizing you and even respecting you. As he very rightly said, if Rohit Pawar was just one politician, carrying forward the legacy of his grandfather, or Rohit Pawar should be known for the work that he does. I mean, people respect him for the work that he does. He has created his own identity in politics. It's not just someone's grandson who's here and towing the line of, as he rightly said, they could even attribute it to nepotism. Likewise, I think it's in every sector. So just a message to all of you all that no matter your father would be a builder or in any businessman or any profession, but when you are always on a high pedestal than someone else. So you've been given a foundation. So it's easy for us to actually leapfrog on that foundation, but by creating your own identity. Look at what you can really create.
My next question, because all of us are entrepreneurs and are leading businesses from here. So I would like to ask you one of the questions that you have initiated a lot of entrepreneurial opportunities in spite being in the field what you are in different sectors. Now the latest example being MPL, or then you've started Maharashtra Vision Forum. And a lot of people and business owners can contribute to that as well. So have you ever thought of giving visibility to deserving youth, and why did you feel of starting off something like that? Because it is very entrepreneurial. I know that you were an entrepreneur in the past and you are, and you've inherited that in your policy making also.
Being policy maker or being part of politics, what I feel is giving opportunity is very important. You gave an example of MPL. In case of MPL, that is Maharashtra Premier League. So we got only 15 days, and in that 15 days we planned it so well. And the credit goes to our apex body and a lot of people who helped us. So properly executing it. So for example, in Maharashtra Cricket Association till last year, every year only 2,000 players, girls and boys, used to play. So then what we did is we increased the number of teams. So now 5,000 cricketers, they get an opportunity. Next year we are increasing the teams to such an extent that 10,000 boys and girls in Maharashtra in 21 districts would play cricket. So what we did was we increased the span wherein a lot of people would get an opportunity. And for example, initially people used to meet us, parents would especially used to meet and say, इसको opportunity नहीं मिला, बहुत अच्छा बॉलर है लेकिन वो कर नहीं पाएगा because opportunity नहीं मिला. तो जब हम बेस ही बढ़ा देंगे तो डेफिनेटली दे विल गेट अपॉर्चुनिटी. दे विल ऑल्सो कम टू नो उनका बेटा या बेटी अच्छी बॉलिंग या बैटिंग कर पाती है कि नहीं. और दूसरी बात, महाराष्ट्र विजन फोरम, ये थोड़ा सा पर्सनल है. तो व्हाट आई फील इज रादर देन मेकिंग पॉलिसी टू विन इलेक्शंस, आई फील we should understand what people want. So for example, we did some voting, about 550,000 youth participated in that survey, wherein they voted what is important for them. So for example, drinking water is important, employment is important, education is important, health is important. So we ask people what they want, or to ask, like for example, as I said earlier, so if there are 5 experts sitting in a AC room and making a policy, I think more effective it would be asking a lot of other people or users or actually the common man, okay, what they want, and based on that making a policy. So in my case, what I feel is to take help of experts, ask people, interact, make a policy, and then go ahead. In case of entrepreneurship also, there's a lot of confusion what people have. What should I do? पैसा कहाँ से आएगा? कैसे आएगा? So ऐसा जो platform है, ये भी एक platform है. We can make more such platforms wherein small entrepreneurs, because generally when we ask people, they talk about Bill Gates, they talk about Mark Zuckerberg, plus I think a lot of people talk about Elon Musk for wrong reasons or good reasons, that could be. But they talk about all like Ambani's and all. I think we should talk about, say for example, more mischief. We should talk about, because that could also be a good example. Plus we should talk about a builder from Pune, or we should talk about a small businessman. So wherein they had nothing, and then how they built their company from zero till 1000 crores, 500 crores, 100 crores, 100 crores, 10 crores, how they scaled up their business. So I think such examples should come to people. So because if we talk about Mukesh Ambani, then we say he's a billionaire. Oh, वहां तक तो मैं नहीं पहुंच सकूंगा, तो खत्म हो गया. तो but if you talk about someone who has done a 100 crore business from nothing, ये मैं अचीव कर सकता हूँ. वो पढ़ाई में कच्चा था, मैं भी पढ़ाई में कच्चा हूँ, उसने कर पाया तो मैं भी कर पाऊंगा. But such examples have to come ahead. So such platforms would also play a very important role, wherein ऐसे लोगों को बुला के, यहाँ पे तो most of them are businessmen or doing something in their life, but colleges में भी ऐसे speakers को वहाँ पे बुला के, like for example, I used to take till COVID, I used to take entrepreneurship development platform, wherein I used to bring in a lot of such businessmen who have started from zero and have done something. So I had got this Vada Pav wala. So he has no father and mother, so he was alone. But then he started one uneducated Vada Pav Gade ka business. So his turnover is now 10 crores. So now what happens is, like when student there is hearing this, अरे ये अचीव हो सकता है. तो इसीलिए I think achievable जो चीजें हैं, because वो जो बुक्स रहते हैं ना कि हाउ टू बी अ बिलियनर, हाउ टू बी अ, वो मोटिवेशनल बुक, आई थिंक वी शुड स्टे अवे फ्रॉम दोज बुक्स फ्रैंकली एंड रीड मोर अबाउट रियल स्टोरीज विच विल मोटिवेट अस. सो डेफिनेटली एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप अगर डेवलप करना है तो रियल स्टोरीज लोगों के पास आनी बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, वो जो हम अचीव कर सकते हैं. आई थिंक मुझे लगता है.
Incredible, because everyone can relate to it. We are from the same field. So there is one question for both of you, starting from Vidya ji. Considering the rise of global involvement and international companies investing in the Indian market, what implications do you foresee for local vendors? Like example Tesla, or there are a lot of talks happening about that. I would like to ask both of you that what is your perception about that, about let's say job creation or a lot of other things?
See, India is a land of opportunity, right? And it has the largest consumer market. And it is a consumer market which is very variable, in the sense you also need a kirana dukan wala next to your house, and you also want to go to a Walmart to do your grocery. So the market is there for everybody. I personally feel, and this has been in education also, because it is the talk of the town now that foreign universities will come and set up campuses. And there are so many universities in India that are scared, they will lose out faculty, they will lose out students. But I think competition enhances quality. I mean, I for one believe that unless you have competition, you cannot enhance quality. Unless someone is better than me, unless I can benchmark myself with something else, how do I know whether I'm good or bad, right? So I think for that kind of benchmarking, I don't think there is any clear why we should be anxious of any foreign company coming in. I think the other side of it is globalization. The whole impact of globalization, you cannot forbid any country from staying away from this impact of globalization. If you look at even national boundaries are almost obsolete now. We move from one place to the other so much. Did our parents ever did that? And you see so much of mobility across borders happening, students moving, even all of us moving around for our vacations. Likewise, if companies will also move from one place to the other, it will create a job market as well for our Indian, employment. It's definitely going to enhance. And as I said, that at least in our case, I can foresee that even if foreign universities want to come, they will come through collaboration. Likewise, the way multinationals came in at one point in time. I'm sure when multinational automobile companies came into India, there was such a big uproar when the LPG movement happened in 1991 that even people from Pune, like Mr. Rahul Bajaj, was anxious. He was so vocal about it. But now you see, through collaborative partnership, you have manufacturing done here right here in our city. So I really don't feel scared at all. I think it will find more opportunities for our young people. It will also help build quality in what we are doing. And as I say, there is so much of consumer available in India that there is always a market for more in our country.
I think we all should think about disruptive technology because one research or one survey says every after 10 years, 60% of the jobs become obsolete. Like for example, before FASTag, every toll naka used to have 150 people working there. So they were employed. But after FASTag, that 150 has been reduced to around 30. So 120 people have become unemployed. So disruptive technology is what we all should study. And in government, we all work in silos. Like primary department doesn't know what secondary is doing. Secondary doesn't know what the higher secondary is doing, or even industry and education in our state, they don't interact. So what industry needs today, our higher technical education, they don't know. So we are telling them or educating them some things which have already become obsolete. So I think that has to definitely change. And we need to be thinking about disruptive technologies, like for example, chat GDP वगैरह जो है, वो भी आगे जाके would definitely become a big problem. Politicians don't have to worry about that because AI and all won't replace us, I hope. But definitely बहुत बड़ा disruption आगे जाके हो सकता है. And as far as Tesla and what examples you gave, so to bring in companies in our area is very important because for example, Google is talking about investing 80,000 crores in India over a period of 10 years. That is what they declared when Mr. Modi had gone to US. Plus Tesla is thinking to invest about, I think, 30,000 crores. So when that investment comes, say for example in Maharashtra, and when we always politically argue with our opponents, is like if it goes outside our state, because when that investment comes in, civil needs a different skill set. तो अनस्किल लोगों को वहाँ पे काम मिलता है. दूसरा सीमेंट बेचने वाले लोगों को काम मिलता है. तो ये इन्वेस्टमेंट आते आते जो लोगों को काम मिलता है वो मिल जाता है. और दूसरी बात, जब इकोनॉमी रिवॉल्व होने लगता है या प्रोडक्शन चालू हो जाता है, उसका भी पॉजिटिव इम्पैक्ट सर्विस सेक्टर पे होता है या रियल एस्टेट पे होता है. लाइक फॉर एग्जांपल आर वन सिंगल डिस्ट्रिक्ट, दैट इज पुणे डिस्ट्रिक्ट, इनका अभी का एक्सपोर्ट इंजीनियरिंग गुड्स का 6 महीने का इट इज अबाउट 26,000 crores. So that means साल का it would cross 50,000 crores. And if you include all other exports, so now $5 billion का अभी तक हुआ है, $10 billion तक हम जाएंगे by in 12 months. So but when ये एक्सपोर्ट के बारे में बात करते हैं तो सैलरी यहाँ पे रहता है, तो लोग बिस्किट यहाँ पे लेंगे या चाय यहाँ पे लेंगे, मोर मिस्ट्रिप में जाके कपड़े सिलाएंगे, वो जो भी पैसा यहाँ पे रिवॉल्व होगा, तब रियल एस्टेट अच्छा चलेगा. जब लोगों के पास पैसा आएगा तो शायद गवर्नमेंट स्कूल छोड़ के लोग अच्छे इंस्टीट्यूट में जाना चालू कर देंगे. सो इट्स अ इकोसिस्टम. सो न्यू कंपनीज, न्यू इन्वेस्टमेंट, दे हैव टू कम टू आवर स्टेट. वी हैव टू फाइट फॉर इट, एंड वो हमारा ड्यूटी है पॉलिटिशियंस का, और अच्छे लोगों को चुन के देना उन लोगों का जिम्मेदारी है. बट आई डोंट नो इफ आई आस्क हाउ मेनी ऑफ यू ऑल वोट, कितने लोग हाथ ऊपर करेंगे नहीं मालूम. सब ऐसे ही कहते हैं, वोट के दिन पे क्या होता है क्या पता. No, I can't do that. Democracy doesn't allow that. But see, in Pune, 38% people vote. So that means 62% they don't vote. एंड ये जो 62% अगर पॉलिटिशियंस के बारे में बात करते हैं, दे डोंट हैव राइट टू टॉक अबाउट पॉलिटिशियंस. 32% जो लोग या 38%, they have right to speak about it. But unfortunately, majority of this 38% stays in slums. So हम लोनावला छुट्टी के लिए जाते हैं या महाबलेश्वर जाते हैं, कोई बाहर जाता है छुट्टी अगर सैटरडे संडे और वो वोटिंग डे का छुट्टी आता है तो. So what I feel is, though this is out of context, voting is also important. To vote the right person is definitely in your hand. Huh?
We don't give a holiday on voting day. We give half day so that we ensure that half of the ballot goes votes and comes back. And
But you check the ink.
Of course, where will they vote?
So that means, so that,
Give a holiday because, as you very rightly said, they take a long weekend and go off without voting. So in Symbiosis, there's no holiday or a voting day.
so going forward, if I get a chance to bring in some policy, the government also should do the same thing, I feel. So ecosystem is important.
That's fabulous. And like this was the last question.
And one question I have for you. Why don't you all start online voting like America does?
No, I would say I'm totally against it.
Why?
If you don't make an effort to go to the voting booth to elect a person, so that means you're not interested in changing, because sitting at home watching movie, if you vote, so I feel, what effort are you doing? And only going online.
Maybe some people don't have the time or the luxury to go and vote. I mean, there could be young people who are working, their companies, I mean, IT companies, I don't think give holidays for people to work.
No, they have to. And second is, थोड़ा तो एफर्ट लगाना पड़ेगा ना अच्छे लोगों को चुनने के लिए. अगर घर बैठे सब कुछ हो जाएगा तो क्या हो जाएगा, फिर आप सिर्फ टीवी देखने के बाद या अच्छे चीजें के बाद अगर वोट करोगे तो आई फील इट इज नॉट. सो वहां पे जाते जाते रोड अच्छा है क्या, जो गवर्नमेंट का स्कूल है वो अच्छा है क्या, वो देखना चाहिए ना. तो नहीं, उसके लिए तो फिर आपको अलग लोगों को वोट करके देना चाहिए जो ट्रैफिक इंप्रूव कर सकता है. तो प्रॉब्लम, बट थोड़ा तो एफर्ट चाहिए. मतलब ऐसे हो गया कि आप प्यार में हो एंड यू डोंट वांट टू डू दैट एडिशनल एफर्ट. नहीं, आई एम इन लव. अरे बॉस, उसके लिए कभी कभार गुलाब लेना पड़ता है. कभी कौन नहीं, जो भी अभी प्यार में है, हस्बैंड या वाइफ हो, गर्लफ्रेंड बॉयफ्रेंड हो, सिर्फ इंस्टाग्राम पे चलता है तो आप बताओ. तो फ्रेंडशिप में भी एफर्ट है, प्यार में भी एफर्ट है, बिजनेस में भी एफर्ट है, पॉलिटिक्स में भी एफर्ट है, तो वोटिंग में भी मुझे लगता है कि एफर्ट चाहिए. दैट इज व्हाट आई फील. मतलब आई एम सो ग्लैड. मतलब लास्ट क्वेश्चन है इसलिए मुझे मालूम नहीं आगे कुछ है क्या. रैपिड फायर है. बट इट वाज ग्रेट टू बी ऑन द सेम पैनलिस्ट आपके साथ, बिकॉज जनरली वी कीप ऑन ट्रबलिंग यू फॉर एडमिशंस, but you are very strict about it, and you are strict. इसके कारण आपका स्कूल का, कॉलेज का क्वालिटी भी अच्छा है. Thank you.
Okay, so big round of applause for these fabulous answers and amazing insights what you've both given. I want to now move further to a very interesting segment, which is the rapid fire, and would like to spice it up a little now.
Ladies.
Yeah. Okay. So would you rather, so you can answer in one word or you can just answer in one line. Would you rather travel to the past or the future?
To the future.
Superb. And why?
Because I mean, the past is known to me, known to everybody. The
Yeah.
future is unknown, so I would really like to create something that is, still not known.
What is your guilty pleasure?
Going to Vaishali, unfortunately. It's in shambles now, but yes.
Yeah. Your deepest fear?
Flights. I really feel, I
Oh.
travel so much, still
Yeah.
I feel scared of the turbulence in flights.
What world record do you think you have a shot of beating?
My university being amongst the top 100 in the world.
Wow. So how would you introduce yourself without a title or a work profile?
I think by my name.
Yeah. That's
all.
incredible.
I think you need an identity of your name, that's all. You don't
Superb.
need titles.
Superb. How do you see the India story unfolding?
Oh, it's brilliant. I mean, I wish I was much younger
Yeah.
to be in this beautiful India story of the whole dynamism that India has. Wonderful politicians like Rohit who are governing, and many others like him. You know, it's a very educated political scenario that we have. So there is so much hope and young men and women, and as he rightly said, more than 50% of the young population, which is so aspirational. So one would rather go back, you know, and be one amongst them, or go to a university like Symbiosis with wonderful technology, wonderful classroom
Yeah.
teachers, which I think some of us have really missed.
Amazing answers. Now moving ahead to you.
I have the same
Please. No, there are very different questions which I have for you. So one quality that you learned from Kunti Pawar, your wife, that you adapted in politics.
dedication.
Wow. That's a very diplomatic answer. I was expecting something else.
Diplomatic कैसे dedication है. I didn't go the strict part. मतलब to be very strict on the right way वो चीजें नहीं गए.
If you, Rahul Gandhi ji and Narendra Modi ji were stranded on an island, what would be your conversation?
उनका उन दोनों का या मैं भी उस
All of you together striking a conversation.
First I will check if there are resources like खाना है क्या, सब कुछ सेट है क्या. अगर सेट नहीं होगा, कुछ खाने के लिए नहीं रहेगा, तो कोई भी कॉन्वर्सेशन हो पहला करना पड़ेगा. आप जो भी मतभेद है ना वो भूल जाओ और यहां से कैसे निकलना है वो पहला देख लो. अगर खाना वगैरह सब कुछ अच्छा है, आइलैंड बहुत अच्छा है, तो फिर कैजुअल टॉक से चालू करेंगे. हाउस फैमिली, हाउस मैरिड लाइफ. नहीं, they would ask me how's married life. And then slowly move towards, because they both are.
Give suggestions to Rahul Gandhi for.
They both are experienced. One is 70 plus. The other is, I think, reaching 53, 54. So सब कुछ चर्चा होने के बाद both are experienced. So definitely I would be the most profitable person because I will gain the most. और जाते जाते जब जाने का टाइम आएगा, जाने का मतलब उस आइलैंड से बाहर जाने का, तब उनको सिर्फ ये बोलूंगा कि व्हाट ओपिनियन डू दे हैव अबाउट यूथ, और यूथ को अपॉर्चुनिटी देनी चाहिए, ऐसे रिक्वेस्ट उनको करूंगा. और दूसरी बात, सो टुडे जीना इज मोर इम्पोर्टेंट बिकॉज आइलैंड पे है ना, बाहर तो निकलना है. किसको किसको स्विमिंग आता है वो नहीं मालूम. राहुल गांधी को तो आता होगा बिकॉज वी हैव सीन हिम वॉकिंग. मुझे आता है. तो एक कहूंगा कि अभी कॉमन गोल हो गया, यहां से जिंदा बाहर निकलना. तो सब डिफरेंसेस साइड को रखते हैं. व्हेन वी रीच इंडिया, मतलब व्हेन वी रीच द अदर साइड ऑफ इट, सब डिफरेंसेस साइड में रखते हैं, सब साथ में आते हैं और 10 साल के लिए लोगों के लिए कुछ अच्छा करते हैं. ऐसा कर पाता तो.
So if you become a CM today, what would be your first step?
I hope there is no media here.
You're not. Might just post it on social media.
हाँ, नो ना, डिस्क्लेमर है. आपने पूछा इसलिए मैं उत्तर देता हूं. टू मेक महाराष्ट्र ग्रेट अगेन, एंड अपॉर्चुनिटी बहुत है, ताकत बहुत है. सिर्फ अपॉर्चुनिटी या वो प्लेटफॉर्म देने की जरूरत है, और वो प्लेटफॉर्म देते देते डेफिनेटली जो भी डेवलपमेंट कर पाऊं वो डेवलपमेंट करने का सोचूं. और जो पॉलिसीज है वो हम नहीं बनाएंगे, हम लोगों से समझ के लोगों के लिए पॉलिसी बनाएंगे. और ये पॉलिसी होने के बाद जो भी पावर के बारे में आप वो कहे, इतना अच्छा काम करे कि वो जो पावर है या जो पोजीशन है बहुत सालों तक मेरे पास ही रहे.
Which is one area of priority that you prioritize.
Yeah, like one step which you take.
वन स्टेप
Or one area of priority that you have.
ऐसा है.
As a CM.
नहीं, जब कभी कभार माइक हाथ में आ जाता तो चल देते हैं. आई थिंक एजुकेशन एंड एम्प्लॉयमेंट.
Self-respect or monetary power?
Monetary power through self-respect.
Again, like a very diplomatic answer. Indian cricket in one word.
Passion.
Baramati or Karjat Jamkhed?
Maharashtra.
That's not in the. How do you see the India story unfolding?
See, what I feel is we should have Bharat at our heart. But as far as vision is concerned, we should have India as our vision. What it means is we should protect our culture, but we should also focus on development. Politics में अगर imbalance हो जाएगा, if you more focus on culture only and no development, तो बहुत problem हो सकता है. और सिर्फ development and no culture, वो भी problem हो सकता है. तो वो maintain करना is very important. आज क्या चल रहा है, जो भी चल रहा है, we talk about GDP. We are 5th largest GDP in the world. Excellent. But as far as per capita income is concerned, we are 122nd in the world. So there's this genie concept of finding if there is balanced development. So in 2009, we were at 34.5%. Gini coefficient is the concept. So if we are zero, that means there is no imbalance between rich and poor. So the wealth is well distributed. No country in this world is zero. So we were at 2009, we were at 34.5%. In 2014, we came to 33.5%. So we improved. But today, in 2018, we are at 49%. So if there was a survey to be done today, I think we would have crossed 51%. In Africa, I know it's not a rapid this thing, but this unfolding is very big thing. So in Africa, most of the countries there are 61 or 70 plus. So we are talking about K-shaped recovery. Poor are staying poor and richer are becoming richer. In Sao Paulo, the example what I gave, I had gone there. So ये जो बहुत सारे सबसे ज़्यादा private helicopters वहाँ पे है, because rich people can't travel by road, they have to travel by air or they will be in problem. अभी 2014 में number of billionaires what India had was 69. Today we have 170 billionaires, which is good and bad. And plus, if you look at this uneven distribution of income, that definitely has to improve. I'm not saying we should tax rich people, but we should definitely see how majority of the population gets money in their hand. If they get, then only there would be a social balance. For India, social imbalance irreparable damage करेगा. अपने पास कल्चर है, इससे लोग शांत है. लेकिन जब एजुकेटेड अनएम्प्लॉयड अशांत हो जाएगा, वो रोड पे आएगा, तो कितना भी पैसा आपके पास हो, कुछ आप नहीं कर पाएंगे. सो टुडे वी हैव टू वर्क ऑन एक्चुअल रिकवरी, बिकॉज 90% लोगों के पास 24% वेल्थ है एंड ओनली 10% लोगों के पास 75% वेल्थ है. इसलिए वेल्थ के एंगल से सब कुछ अच्छा लगता है, बट वी नीड टू हैव बैलेंस डेवलपमेंट. वी नीड टू रियली वर्क ऑन रियल इश्यूज. सो ये जो अनफोल्डिंग ओवरऑल पिक्चर बहुत अच्छा है, बट करने के लिए बहुत कुछ है. एजुकेशन से लेके एम्प्लॉयमेंट तक बहुत कुछ है. तो व्हाट आई फील इज इट्स अ ब्यूटीफुल कंट्री विद लॉट ऑफ अपॉर्चुनिटी एंड हाईएस्ट नंबर ऑफ यूथ. आई थिंक आवर एवरेज एज इज 26. यूएस का शायद वो 45 या 55 के पास है. जापान वो शायद 60 के पास जाता है, क्या मालूम नहीं. बट आई फील देयर इज लॉट ऑफ अपॉर्चुनिटी, बट डेफिनेटली वी ऑल हैव टू वर्क टुगेदर for a balanced development going forward.
I think more of a progressive India. So big round of applause for both of them. I think I and everybody learned a lot, and it was a beautiful journey, and I could relate to a lot of things which you both said. And I would like to thank, now this is the end of our beautiful session together. So on behalf of the entire team, I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude to each and every one of you who had been a part of this extraordinary event, and your presence and unwavering support has truly made this event really special. So big clap for all of you for coming here and being a part of it. Anita ji, Tejaswini and Apeksha, your exceptional efforts and contributions are truly commendable. Thank you for all of that.
उनके लिए big thank you.
Yeah. Also, like lastly, one point that I would like to thank the FOSAPIO team, without whom this event would not have been possible. This interview curated was by Sampada Shivani, designed by Ankush and Ranjit, audiovisual team. Thank you so much for being a part of this. Abhishek Jay, Smriti Siddharth, Roshan, thank you so much for putting this forward.
Thank you.